Shobhana Pattanayak, Secretary, Department of Agriculture, Cooperation, Farmers Welfare, joining on the show right now. Mr. Pattanayak, morning. Monsoon has been normal in the last 2 years, therefore recovering loss that we saw in crop output previously. With monsoon now being predicted at 97 LPA for 2018, how is it that you see the crop recovery momentum sustain?
See, this is the third consecutive year where the monsoon has been predicted to be normal, and one of the estimates says that it's 97% of the long period average plus minus 5%, and the other prediction which IMD has brought out is 99% of the LPA plus 5% plus minus 5%. So this is the third consecutive year, but the estimates for the current year is at its very best. So we are hopeful of an extremely well spread out monsoon for the entire country. Of course, there are pockets which they have indicated of south interior India and northeastern region which will be little bit delayed, or there may be initial deficit which we are hopeful that it will get corrected. So overall, it is augurs well for agriculture and for the economy as a whole, and I am certain the growth rate in agriculture will be at its very best in the coming financial year, that is 18 and 19.
Right. For a small farmer then, the total income growth in FY17 has been a modest one at just 4% versus 6% for a large farmer. What are the government initiatives, sir, in place to accelerate this growth, especially ahead of a busy election year?
See, a number of initiatives have been announced in the budget which is there in the public domain. The most significant decision that the government has taken is to ensure that MSP is declared at 50% more than what is the cost of cultivation. So that itself is it will boost the this sector to a significant extent. Apart from that, the government has also made it very clear that it is going to ensure a mechanism that the difference between the MSP and the prevailing price is paid to the farmer. Apart from that, there are certain initiatives like TOP and initiatives like the Grameen Heart, which is going to ensure that the right prices accrues to the farmer when he grows the crop. So I am certain that this will be again going to boost the rural economy, and you need not only confine yourself to the budgetary allocation and the initiatives in the agricultural sector. A number of initiatives have also been highlighted both for the rural development sector, which provides the overall ecosystem for the growth of agriculture. Apart from that, the government has come out very proactively for the food processing sector as well, which is going to give the value addition, and the supply chain logistics is also going to get a very big fillip. Overall, we are hopeful that agriculture is going to see a very good growth in the coming year.
Right. Mr. Pattanayak, farm income specifically has been under pressure post demonetization due to softer agro-commodity prices. What is the government doing regarding the same?
See, the farm economy, if you speak about realization of money to the farmer, there has been little bit of a difficulty. In fact, the initiatives which the government has announced is specifically to target this. So we are hopeful the market will correct itself and the right price will accrue to the farmer. Very last year, we have taken a number of initiatives to ensure that unnecessarily goods from abroad is not flooded in the Indian market. Apart from that, the initiatives taken by the government in the last 6 to 8 months have given us the the signal that investment in agriculture is going to witness a very big change. In other words, people are going to be more committed to growing certain crops, and wherever there has been a little bit of crisis in a particular subsector of agriculture, government has come forward with policy initiatives to correct them. So overall, I am certain in the coming months, these signals will further strengthen the farmers' resolve in trying to concentrate more on agriculture in a very big way.
Right. Mr. Pattanayak, global agro-commodity prices was one of the reasons why farm realizations have been weak over the last 2 years. What is the government doing to reduce the vulnerability of farm income to such fluctuations in prices essentially, to combat that?
See, you know, we already have the risks of farming is already taken up by a number of schemes. Let's say the Bima Yojana and things like that. But apart from that, we are carrying out market reforms. Close to 585 markets have been already linked to ENAM. The performance of ENAM is now really gone up. We hope that more states are now eager to ensure that more number of markets are integrated, so that the farmers gets an opportunity to trade on the electronic platform. Apart from that, many states have proactively taken steps to reform their market. Very recently, you would also recollect that the government has taken a historic step of exempting all the farmer producer organization from the purview of income tax. Particularly FPOs which have a turnover up to 100 crores can get this benefit. This signals a very big shift in the way we look at farmer organizations. So the farmers will now be encouraged to aggregate their produce and sell it to in the market. In other words, the bargaining power of the farmer is going to see an enhancement. Similarly, last year the government also took another historic step in liberalizing the bamboo from the control of the forest regulatory agencies, and it has now been classified as a grass for which transit permit and felling permits are not necessary, or they have been liberalized. That means a new market is going to develop on the bamboo sector and agroforestry sector, which is going to further give a fillip to the income of the farmers, because bamboo is grown as a supplementary crop in many parts of the country. Apart from that, bamboo can be grown in marginalized land and lands which are wastelands, and we hope that this is going to change the landscape in India to a considerable extent.
So let's talk about the MSP, which has been promised at about 50% above cost. What is the average rise that we can expect for key crops in the Kharif as well as Rabi season?
See, out of 23 crops which are coming directly under the MSP regime, close to almost 9 to 10 crops were already above the 50% mark. Now, the government, having committed itself to extend this to the remaining crops, is going to witness a big change in the way decisions are taken by farmers. And that means the whole lot of nutri-cereals, which earlier used to be designated as coarse cereals, is going to get a fillip, like bajra, jawar and ragi and things like that. The millets, in general, millets is going to get a big fillip. Same thing is true of pulses and oil seeds, which was not really, never got the benefit to the extent it was required. Of course, rice indirectly or paddy indirectly will also get the benefit, because there has been a little bit of gap between the actual price at MSP being given to them and what is proposed to be given. But all these changes will come from the next Kharif season, when our new MSP is going to be declared. So there will be a big change, and this will be exactly computed, and we are eagerly waiting for the report of the CACP, because they ultimately compute this cost, and depending on if it is not more than 50%, then definitely government will sort of ensure that it is at least 50%. But wherever the recommendations are above the 50% of the cost of cultivation, of course there is no necessity for the government to really increase it further.
Okay. A lot on the pricing side, sir, depends on the final procurement policy by the government as well. Procurement centers have, a very spotty presence in north as well as the eastern side of the country. What are the procurement schemes that are being considered right now, and by when can we expect a final policy announcement?
See, wherever we have a prevailing price which is less than MSP, the government steps in and opens procurement center immediately after the harvesting is over. If the prices are running above MSP, of course government need not do anything, but otherwise whichever have been the production centers, there we have opened procurement to a very great extent. In fact, last year alone, you see the robust procurement made resulted in the stockpiling of close to 2 million tons of pulses. But apart from that, we have been quite active in this space in the current year as well, because there has been a record production of pulses and also oil seeds in some parts of the country. But you have specifically raised the issue of Northeast. Northeast, of course, is a region where nothing much is produced. So the question of there being a glut also has not arisen. But in case Northeast produces certain commodities which sort of, and we witness a glut, will definitely get active to procure those things from there. But historically also Northeast has not really produced so much so that there was a felt need for opening procurement centers. But we are committed to do that in case the need arises.
Absence of procurement, the market price of crops not in the food distribution program usually fall below the MSP. Is there any plan to extend firm MSP support to those crops as well?
No, actually you are well aware that the Niti Aayog has recommended that millets be given in the school feeding program, and it may be introduced in the PDS also. So that is perhaps in case that decision fructifies, it's going to change the landscape. So your particular assumption that we have not been able to extend it to other crops will not be no more be true, because then in that case there will be a need to push these type of crops through the either through the public distribution system or to the school feeding program. It's going to create a big market in case such a decision is implemented very soon by the respective states. So we are hopeful that some of these policy shifts is going to alter the environment, and we are very hopeful that due to the active persuasion of the government in this space, we will be witnessing a big change in the way procurement is carried out, will be carried out in future.
Calculated any possible additional amount that would be required from the government to cover deficits in the likely scenario that prices remain below MSP?
See, the question is, it's a very dynamic one. I need not elaborate it here. It is not a straight budgetary support. Whenever procurement is done, I must explain you the logic. The procuring agencies access what is called credit from the financial institutions, and they procure it and they dispose of these procured quantities after a time interval. And when this is done, they recover most of the cost. Only the loss sustained during the operation is actually financed by the government. So if you really compute the losses do not run into very gigantic figures, and whatever losses are there, that is sort of supported through budgetary grants by the government. So last year, let us say, we only did spend 900 crores for the supporting the losses sustained due to the procurement operations of the previous year. This year it may rise from 900 crores to maybe 2000 crores, but it all depends on the degree to which procurement takes place and the losses sustained in carrying out such a procurement, because the procured commodities anyway get sold in the market. So therefore it all depends on that. We don't need a very huge investment to really bear the losses sustained by the procurement agencies.
Okay. The trend in FY18, Mr. Pattanayak, for Rabi sown area has been more or less okay. What is it that you expect from the upcoming Kharif sowing area as well as output, given the monsoon projection that it's projected to be normal this time around too?
Don't see, Rabi was on expected lines. In fact, we have this year Rabi, our total coverage even exceeds last year Rabi. So our output expected from Rabi is better. But since our Kharif was marginally not up to the mark, the total production for the current year, that means the year under which we are going through, both the Kharif and Rabi put together, we are going to touch a production of 277 million tons. Now in the coming year, due to again a very good monsoon which is predicted, we are hopeful to revise these targets upwards. We are going to have a Kharif conference next week, and where all the state governments will be present and the stakeholders will be present. We hope to revise this target from 277 million tons to perhaps to touch 283 million tons in the coming year.
Right, and so finally, Mr. Pattanayak, what are the key risks to farm income and rural income as a whole currently? What sort of an increase are you targeting in rural income for the coming fiscal?
See, all these efforts is in the direction of improving and increasing the income to the farmers. So therefore, at this stage, it may be little rudimentary for me to expect what it will be, but when the real action plan is drawn up after the Kharif conference, I should be able to clear cut project what should be the incremental income to the farmers.
Okay, Mr. Pattanayak, we really appreciate you taking out the time and engaging with us into an in-depth discussion on how you foresee the current monsoon season influencing farm output and farm income, because that's an important variable and influencer to understanding the rural economy story for the year, and also the revival in rural demand, that theme.